Hello and welcome to the Gleaner podcast for Wednesday, January 10th, 2024. I'm Chantal Hortop, Managing Editor for the Gleaner and host for this season of the podcast. As you may know, the podcast takes the opportunity to shed some light on various subjects related to the history of the Chateauguay Valley. This week, I'll be speaking to a group of people who are absolutely essential to the preservation of our local history. Along with other volunteers, they give their time to gather, maintain, and share objects and information through two historical organizations here in the Valley. From the Chateauguay Valley Historical Society, we'll hear from Ken Dolphin, Carolyn Cameron, and Connie McClintock. Then, we'll turn to Myrna Paquette of Archives Hemmingford for the perspective from the eastern end of the Valley. Between the four of them, there's an incredible amount of knowledge and passion about local history, as I'm sure you'll hear. So on that note, I'll leave you to it.
So how I'd ask you to start off would be just to present yourselves and tell our listeners your name so they'll be able to match your names and your voices further on.
Okay, so I'm Ken Dolphin. I'm president of the Chateauguay Valley Historical Society. I've been president for the last 6 years, and I've been a member for the last 10 years.
I'm Carolyn Templeton Cameron. I am the current secretary of the association, and I have been for some time, and I don't want to move up to any other positions. I am a former teacher, and then I helped my husband, and we ran a dairy farm, and now I'm retired.
I'm Connie McClintock. I've been a member since probably the 1990s. And I've gone through several positions, and I'm a board member now and helping with genealogy.
So can one or all of you in turn tell me just a little bit about the Historical Society, sort of how it started, and let's start there.
None of us was here when it started in 1963, I think, somewhere around there. The first journal came out in 1968. And they had been going for a few years, but it was very different from what it is now. In those days, it encompassed Beauharnois, Hemmingford area, and then
Chateauguay.
Chateauguay as well.
Itself.
Yeah, all over the place. French and English.
Oh, yeah.
It was always bilingual. Yes, there was vice president for the three different areas, I think, and I don't know all of it now, but so that's when it started, but I only joined in the 90s, so I really don't know too much about those early times.
Ian Watson, who was the MP for this area at that time, was instrumental in getting it started. He was one of the charter members, and Harry Cullen, who was a big friend of his and was a teacher, and he became a lawyer, and they were part of the beginnings of it. And it was while Ian Watson was an MP that they got the Battle of the Chateauguay Museum for Allen's Corners, and there was a big celebration for the 150th anniversary of the Battle of Chateauguay, and I rode in a coach behind horses, and my father had his surrey with the fringe on top.
How old were you then?
I was 16, maybe.
Yeah. And what about Robert McGee? Was he one of the charter members also? Was he an early?
Yes, he was an early member as well. Yeah, and he was instrumental in getting the journal going. Yes.
He wasn't the first editor.
He wasn't the first editor,
No.
but
Reverend Holmes was. But he took over after that in about 1970 or thereabouts, and then continued for years and years and years.
Yes.
He was Mr. CVHS for sure.
But when you read through certain documents pertaining to the Battle of the Chateauguay, when they put up that monument, that stela, in the 1880s, I think it was for the 75th anniversary, there was an invitation, and we have a copy of it, sent out by the Historic and Literary Association or Society of the Chateauguay Valley. So I always say we've been around in various forms for the last more than 130 years, 140 years.
So, why is it this historical society in particular, but just historical societies in general? Why are those important to communities like this one?
Well, they do, of course. We feel that we are the keepers of the history of the valley, in a sense that we have the old gleaners from 1863 on, and the gleaner, of course, recorded everything that happened, either politically or tragedies that happened or whatever. So everything is in there. So
Or
that's
socially from each little nook and cranny.
of course, everybody had their little, yeah, exactly. So when you go through that, and it's full, of course, of valley names, and and some of them have disappeared, some of them are still here, and we do. It's important because we do get 8 or 10 requests a month for information, either something pertaining to a family, or we also provide ancestry to all our members.
Right.
So if you want to come in and have a little basic how-to on ancestry, we do that for free for our members.
Great.
And you can sit here and on a cold Tuesday after morning in January. It's like anything else. Once you get into it, it's so interesting to be able to do that.
Anybody else? Why the historical society is important to the community?
Just to save some of our history, because so often at auctions, etc., you see a box of old family photos going up for grabs, or old family Bibles that have all kinds of documentation inside that pertain to the family, and presumably there's nobody in the family interested in that old stuff, or a lot of the pictures don't have any names recorded on the back as to who is in the photo. So we like to rescue some of those things, and because we have quite an archive of photographs, sometimes we can match them up with what we have, which is really amazing. We have one member who's very, very good at it. And so that these things are preserved, because people are interested in their family tree, and they want information and they have practically nothing. Well, we can help them, and sometimes we can provide photos as well of their ancestors, which is kind of exciting for them.
So what has made you stay involved with the Historical Society? It's, as we say, there's a volunteerism spirit, but it's a lot of time and energy you put in this. What keeps you?
Personally, I would say the camaraderie and the interesting people. Even if it's a paid job, if the team is not, you say, "Oh boy, I have to go in," but then you're paid and you're earning your livelihood that way. But here you come in because you want to come in, and if you do come in on a Tuesday, everybody's invited, even if you're not a member, on a Tuesday or a Thursday morning. There'll be 6, 7, 8 people here doing all kinds of things, working through our archives, archiving our material with our archilog, doing genealogy, doing research for someone that asks a question. So it's a great, interesting place to be.
I do it because, well, I've always been interested in antiques and old things and history, and because I'm nosy and like to know what's going on.
I do it because I like the detective aspect of trying to answer somebody's inquiry in the genealogical field. I get excited and inspired, and I could go all day and half the night trying to search for something. I try not to do that now. It's not a good way to spend your day and night. But that's what keeps me going here, just trying to find out and help somebody with some question they have.
And I kind of read the questions backwards, but how did you all first come to become involved on the board or more involved with the society?
Actually, I was at my home in Ormstown one day, and there was a knock on the door, and it was Darlene Sabita Kerr. And she said, "You know what? You should come with me to a meeting of the historic." I said, "Oh, I had nothing to do. I think it was winter, like I say, on a cold Tuesday morning. I'll put Facebook away and I'll go." And right away, I knew a lot of the people, either by name or by. So, and after that, they were nice enough to accept me as a member. And from there, I just kept on coming to the meetings and getting involved.
My parents had been members at the beginning, and I was always interested and went to some of the events. And I don't think I was a member all the time after I was married, but then I became more involved in it. And Roland Greenbank and I had worked together, and he said, "Oh, Carolyn, we need a secretary." So I got roped into it and have been that ever since, and quite enjoyed all of it.
I came back from teaching somewhere else, and I said, well, I guess I might as well live in Ormstown. What'll I do? So I joined the band, and I joined the Historical Society, and I started going back to church. Those three things, I thought, well, I've missed a whole generation of people here. I didn't know anybody except my family when I came back. And as Ken said, it's a good way to meet people and be with people of similar interests.
Mhm.
And I became interested in history. I hated it in school, didn't do very well at it, didn't like it, but now I quite enjoy it.
What sorts of challenges is the CVHS facing now?
I'd say our biggest challenge today is our premises. Now we're lucky because the town of Hingenbrook is letting us have part of their municipal building, but it's never something that's
Permanent.
We're never sure from year to year. And if we did have to go, and of course, being a volunteer organization, we don't have money enough to rent something that would cost us.
Yes.
Here, like I say, we pay a very minimal rent. We have free Wi-Fi, free electricity, free heating. So eventually, maybe we'd like to get together with the MRC, because we know that the MRC is looking for space to put their archives. So is the town of Huntington. So maybe we could have some kind of place where everybody could keep our archives, and we could be the keepers. We could administer that because we have a bit of know-how as to how to keep them and how to be able to catalog them so that you can easily find something you're looking for.
Tell me a little bit about the other people who offer their time to the society and what sorts of things they do.
Well, we have Mary Lou Black, who looks after photographs. She's very good at it, very dedicated, and she has an enormous collection. And we have Jake Kekabiki, who has been instrumental in getting us to archive everything.
Brought up in Elgin, and we had everything, but now because we're archiving it with a special program, our Shilog, we're able to find things a lot faster because we do have quite a bit of documents. The other one that puts in a lot of time is Sylvie Crevier, who was the vice president, who wrote the book Anderson's Corners last year. And she puts in a lot of time, a lot of hours. Like I say, we're open Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we also go to the Ormstown Fair. We go to the CVAA, which is the Chateauguay Valley Antique Association. We go to the Women's Auxiliary in Ormstown at the CVR in November, the bazaar. We also went to the Senior Day, and we went to the Stewart family reunion in July. That was their 200th anniversary. We went to the Elgin Neighbors Day. And every year, like this year, we've received an invitation for the 60th anniversary of the Dunn Memorial.
Oh, yes, of course.
Near the covered bridge.
Next summer, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, like we're saying, we're very involved with everything that goes on around. And often, if somebody is having either a historical or they're looking into the history of, it could be the hospital in Ormstown, it could be the Gleaner that had their 160th anniversary this year. We have the documentation for that, and we can always we're always more than glad to offer our help.
Is there anything else you'd like listeners to know about the Historical Society?
We'd like you to, of course, to become a member, because by becoming a member, that sustains us. But we're always trying to better ourselves and make this center here an interesting place for people to drop in, like I say. And we'd like to have people come in on a regular basis, like on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and come and have a cup of coffee and come and see what we can do. And I think you'll find something interesting to get involved in.
So remind me of the hours.
Usually from 9 to 12, Tuesdays, Thursdays. But if you can't make it at that time, we'll accommodate you. We'll come in on a Thursday at 4 o'clock, or we've been here often evenings. We've had people come in on a Friday because they were coming down from Alberta. The Smileys from Smiley Side Road. And they were here because they were researching a family cemetery that was there. That's in the woods anyway. And they showed up, these guys showed up with boots full of mud and everything, but they were great because we have also one of the older Bibles from that family. Is that the Gaelic
The
Bible?
Gaelic Bible.
From 1812?
Yeah, it's supposed, but it's not proven.
But like I say, if you can't come in on a Tuesday or a Thursday, we'll make sure the door is unlocked when you get here. And actually, again, one of our members, Pat Martin, if you are driving between Ormstown and Dewitville on 138A, there's a stone there where the first Catholic church was. I think it's 1840. But behind the stone, there's the names of everybody that's buried in the field around us. Now, of course, it's a cornfield. There's over 150 names. And these are people that would be over 5 years old, because the ones before 5, there was just not any room on that monument, on that the sign she had made. So there's 300 or 400 people buried, and there are a lot of still local names that you find there. A lot of Irish names, of course, and French Canadian names, but families that have been here since, like I say, the 1840s. So a lot of our members do a lot of that on their own and bring in the information that, of course, we keep here. So, like I say, we have a lot of information pertaining to Valley families too.
I think that covers all my bases and probably has filled up the right amount of time. So,
Great.
Thank you so much for taking the time
Nice
to come
to see you.
sit and talk about the Historical Society.
Now, without further ado, we'll hop over to the other end of the valley to Hemmingford, where I spoke to Myrna Paquette of Archives Hemmingford about the history and mission of that group.
I'm Myrna Paquette, born Myrna Brandon from Manitoba, live in Hemmingford. I've been out here for 34 years, not totally full-time, but moved here partial time in 1989, and still here.
So could you please tell me a little bit about the history of Archives Hemmingford?
Yeah, well, in about 1992, Betty Mackenzie, who was born here in Hemmingford and was living in St. Lambert, was researching all the branches of her family. And she was collecting the information in her basement in St. Lambert. And she soon had a pile of other people in Hemmingford, bigger than her families, because she couldn't just let things go when she saw them. So she was collecting. So she really founded the archives in 1992. She came out to Hemmingford Weekly. She eventually got a small room in it wasn't the basement of the town hall. I think it was before the village municipal offices were renovated. It was in the front of the building. Just a very, very small room. Then when they renovated, she had a room in the basement, which helped a lot, and she kept bringing stuff out. So in 2003, she applied for charitable status, which she got. 2010, she incorporated it as Archives and Museum. 2012, I was with her then by 2012, and we moved to a larger room in the elementary school. So 2018, after some pretty successful fundraising, we were able to renovate this donated old hall of the St. Andrew's Church that hadn't been used for many, many, many years. And 5th of May 2018, we officially opened the archives.
So what kinds of services, displays, and events does the organization put on?
Well, principal work involves the collection, preservation, and display and maintenance of historical documents, photos, artifacts, publication of historical books, and assistance to researchers, displays for the public, trying to keep up an interest in history in the community. That is the main focus.
Right.
Other work involves various events like, Fiddler's Fancy. We did an ice storm commemorative displays, panels, book, the annual garage sale in September, annual quilt raffle. We've done some tribute musical performances and concerts and historical presentations by guest speakers, some in French, some in English. And we invite the schools to bring their classes to learn about history. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, and for all of these things, there's a lot of preparation.
So tell me a little bit about why historical organizations like this one are so important to the community.
Okay, well, historical societies play an important role in protecting and preserving the historical record of the past, supports research products, local history studies, genealogy research. Live interviews with elders in the community are very important. It's very important, too, to have a place for elders in the community when they have to downsize, to have somewhere to send their family historical documents. And we get a lot of those. So that gives us quite a lot of work just putting them in our inventory system, which is called Archeolog. So we encourage local and nearby school classes to visit and tour the past through our displays and chats. And doing all of this, perhaps we are able to teach the next generation the importance of knowing how, why, and when the past influenced our present life and future, and making them proud of the influence of their ancestors.
Yeah, and certainly having the space like this where you can bring in school classes.
This is, even if I say so myself, is an amazing space.
Yes.
And we have been told that many times by visitors from all over North America.
Okay, and so we touched on it a little bit before, but how did you get involved with Archives Hemmingford?
Well, I didn't retire until October 2007, and my husband had retired in 1993. So eventually, in, I guess, sometime around the middle of 2011, I met Mary Ducharme, and she asked me, and I said, okay, I can volunteer for a bit. So I ended up a couple of days a week, and that quickly stretched into 5 days a week.
It does, yes.
Yeah. So anyways, I eventually replaced my husband as a board secretary and continued to the present time. My husband, Yvonne Paquette, remained as a director on the board until he passed away in June 2022. He was always doing photography work and enhancement and writing brochures and that kind of work. So he was quite happy to turn over the
paperwork
to me. Yeah.
And what has made you stay involved over the years?
Well, for many years, like for the first 10 years we were here, I only really slept here. My husband knew people, but I didn't really know people. So we actually even lived part-time in Brossard. And after I was retired in 2007, I found it really boring being at home. And I'm not a natural born homemaker. I'm just not into it. I was happy to become involved in an organization again where I could continue to use my skills. And I was able to meet the local people in Hemmingford and become integrated into the community through my work at the archives. I continue to meet people from all over North America who come here, especially during the summer months, to research their ancestors who were early homesteaders. And there have been so many interesting diversions. There's so many coincidences. This summer, I met a woman whose husband was a minister here and found out that they had been in Kenton, Manitoba, which is my birthplace, for 6 years at the church there. You know, things like that have happened many times, really a lot. Yeah, so everything I do at the archives and everyone I work with and meet through volunteering, it's just been a pleasure. And after 34 years, I actually consider Hemmingford kind of my hometown. Right. It's the longest I've lived anywhere.
Great. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about the other people who work with the archives.
Okay, well, I'll go down the list here. I don't want to forget anybody. Right. So Michael Crone is president. He's a historical expert. He's been a professor part-time at University CEGEP, and he has a full-time job on the village council. So he manages still to be our president and carry on that way. Sally Kyle is our new treasurer, replacing Gary Bix, who passed away earlier in the year. She continues to work full-time in a company in Montreal. She has accounting experience. And she brings to the board a lifetime of history in Hemingford because she was born here. So, and she's the descendant of an original homesteading family. Carolyn Marlin is vice president. She's a retired local school teacher. She wasn't originally from here, but she married a local farmer.
Right.
So she likes to keep a connection with the school on any events we do with them, plus many other things. Her husband is also on the board as a director, a descendant of an original settler family. They both have a lot of knowledge to share about the region. Wayne Hadley, a director, he's another son of original inhabitants and an important source for local history, a former farmer and apple business owner. Who else now? Wayne and Ralph are really helpful in working together with major maintenance projects. Gerard Leberge, born in a nearby village, has lived most of his 92 years in Hemingford. He's hugely knowledgeable in who lived where and when, and has a lot of pleasure in just offering visitors to take them around in his car and show them where they think their ancestors lived. He knows where everybody lived, what their names were. He's the first person I ask when we have a question. Even before I go to the files and the documents, I ask Gerard, what do you know about? Oh, yeah, he knows a lot about it. He's really interesting. She's very versatile and talented and creative. And she's not originally from here either, but she's lived here in the area for more than 30 years. Yeah. Sylvia Paulig, a local girl with a history degree. She's really interested in researching and meeting and working with visitors. So Francine Paquette is a bilingual multitasker with a lot of experience in office work. And Francine LeBlanc is a newcomer to our village, and she's a former teacher in the software professional industry on the South Shore.
Okay.
That was her career.
So she's got the tech savvy.
Yeah, she does. She's only been with us a few months and has quickly taken over the programming group for the inventories and stuff like that. She is so fast that it's hard to keep up feeding her the information. And Dan and Sharon Mark, gosh, I don't know what we'd do without them. Together, they take care of the website, the Facebook page, advertising, as well as helping with preparing for and assisting with events and day-to-day activities. Sharon's family, of course, the Somervilles have been in the region for several generations. And they do a lot for the community, not just for the archives. They're involved a lot.
The Gleaner appreciates their help also. They're very supportive of us as well.
I bet. Yes, they are. And she deals with, the Chateauguay and just everywhere. She just does all the advertising. I just feed her some information and away she goes. Yeah. So
they were married too.
Yeah, he knows everything. I don't know, that's our group.
That's the roster.
Yeah, we're a very cohesive group. We work well together.
Well, that's important, eh?
Yes, it really is.
And is there anything else you'd like to add to the podcast listeners?
Just a final word, I guess, to newcomers. An easy and fun way to get to know your new community is to find an organization to volunteer in.
Mm-hmm.
I really found that for sure.
Right.
There will likely be several that will interest you and will welcome you.
Wonderful.
And that's about it.
Good. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to fill us in on what's going on in the history of this end of the valley. It's great to touch base.
It's a pleasure.
It's so wonderful to hear from people like these who are so passionate about supporting their community. Having worked in community media for most of my professional life, I've been lucky enough to have all kinds of chats like this with the people behind the organizations that tie us together, and I'm so happy to be able to hand the microphone over to them through this podcast. While more volunteers are always needed, you can also help out your local historical groups in other ways, by visiting them during their opening hours, becoming a member, attending the events they organize, or even just following them on social media. Be sure to tune in again next Wednesday, January 17th, for a chat between the Gleaners Callan Forrester and Murray McEwen, who helped bring together a fascinating documentary about the history of the McEwen family in Ormstown. This podcast is made possible in part by a grant from the Bourse d'Initiative en Entrepreneuriat Collectif, a call for projects designed to support the creation and development of social economy enterprises and projects across the Montérégie region. Sound editing for the Gleaner podcast is done by Stacey Pennington. Our theme music is by Christopher Pennington. It's produced by me, Chantal Hortop. Don't forget to subscribe to the Gleaner podcast on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. For more Gleaner content, check out our website at www.the-gleaner.com. I'll also put that link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you'll join us again next time.